Hello, everybody, and welcome to Brain Tumor Companion Zoom Room. Today we are doing Brain Tumor Diaries, episode 6. This is Life Now, and I'm really excited to interview Sherry, who has been in our Brain Tumor Companion groups quite a few times. So I'm familiar with her journey, but today she's going to share a little bit about who she is and where she's from and what her brain tumor journey has been. And if you have any interest in learning more, please drop comments and share your story, and we certainly will jump in and respond to them. So, Sherry, thank you for being here with me today. It's
Thank you
great
for
to
having me.
actually have this interview time together. And I really just want to give you an opportunity to share with everybody who's listening kind of who you are, where you're from, and how this whole brain tumor journey began for you.
Okay, I'm Cheryl. I'm 60 years old, which I hate to say, but I am. Born and raised in Livermore. I now live in Sacramento. My journey started in September of 2019. And I was only driving home from work one day, and I thought from being exhausted that my eyesight was going bad because I got double vision immediately. I just like randomly on the freeway. I did have a couple of symptoms prior to that that I didn't even recognize as being, oh my gosh, it's a brain tumor. Like most people don't do. They don't think, something goes wrong. It's brain tumor automatically. I had double vision. I pulled over from the freeway. I got a Lyft ride home. Not thinking that it was anything serious. I went ahead and waited like 2 or 3 days until I went to the hospital. They did a CT scan, did an MRI, and then there it was. And it's a petrous clival meningioma. So it's one down in a deep, dark, I guess either great property or the worst property you'd want to get, however you want to look at it, of your brain. And so I had surgery I got diagnosed in September, and I had surgery in January, and they couldn't get it all out, of course. And they were going to have me do radiation. I then chose not to do that. And now coming forward, it's grown and it's caused my right eye to go inward, which it's damaged the abducens nerve, which is the sixth cranial nerve. And so my eye's pretty much stuck where it's at. So I have permanent double vision right now. I had surgery, however, in November, hoping that we were going to get the majority of it out to relieve some of the pressure in there. However, things kind of went astray, and the surgeon ended up making a decision to close up shop, not to pursue any further. So there were more damages done to myself. And now, hence, we're here. So my double vision's still here. There's lots of things that are still going on with me, like facial numbness, problems chewing, swallowing, coordination. I mean, it could be a whole row of things. I mean, it's multiple things now that are going wrong. So here I am.
And is there any plan of action to help you with those things as far as from the medical teams, or are you just kind of stuck with going
Well,
through
they
the
wanted,
motions
they,
of all the deficits?
yeah, the emotions I think are always going to be there. I do go to counseling once a week on that. And I also attend your groups, which really helps. I mean, to me, it's like seek out an emotional support group is immediately, because it is an emotional roller coaster you're going to go through. They want to do radiation. However, I've chosen me personally not to do that. That isn't a choice for me and everybody. It's really my choice. So everyone needs to do their research and decide on their own. So then it basically is a watch and wait now. Hopefully the tumor decides not to grow, which I doubt very much, but hopefully it decides not to grow so fast. So I can at least have so many years, left of having somewhat a normal, quote, quote, normal life left.
Yeah, the most
So
normal twist
yeah,
and turn, right?
the
How
new you.
What is your protocol right now? Like, how often do your team want you getting MRIs and like being checked in on? Because I know you're still pretty much, you just had surgery in November.
Right. I've had
So what's your
two
protocol?
MRIs. I've had two MRIs since then. One was just the one immediately after surgery to see how everything is going. And then the other one was to see if there was infection because my whole entire head swelled up where the incision is there for a minute. And I was really concerned about it being infected and maybe infected inside, not just outside, but inside as well. I know some people that have had that happen, and that could be a very serious matter if you don't take care of it right away. Um, So I've had two MRIs since my surgery on November 18th, which is kind of a lot, I think. One with contrast and one without, because I choose not to have the contrast every time as well, because I've had so many MRIs. I can't even believe how much contrast would be left in my body by now. So I do have contrast when they need to, of course, before surgery or anything that's really, really important, I do have the contrast done.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a watch and wait now.
And did your medical team ever share how they think you may have gotten this tumor? Do you feel like it was hormones? Is it hereditary? Is it
No,
environmental? Do you have any thoughts about maybe how you got to be in this
it
club with
probably,
us?
yeah, it could be one of three. It could be, yeah, I know. Like you always say, the club you don't want to join,
Club you
right?
don't want to sign up for, but here you
Yeah.
are.
It's like, nice to meet you all, but I really wish I didn't meet you all. How's
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. You're great, but I would have
Lovely. I
a
mean,
different group.
wonderful people are in this group. It seems, tumors are not prejudiced. They will
Yeah.
get anybody. And, but I think it could be one of the three. It could either be environmental, hereditary, or maybe onset because of certain medical things I've had done in the past, which is one thing that it does directly cause mangiomas. It is proven fact that the Depo-Provera shot has done that. I did get the Depo-Provera shot, but that was years ago, which they said that possibly it's not from that because I only had two shots. But to me, what's the difference between two shots and one shot and 10 shots?
Yeah.
I do have the meningioma. They are directly linked to that. So therefore it could be that. It could be hereditary because my father had one as well in the same area. It affected his swallowing. Eventually it took him, but he was 89 years old, I do believe, when he passed away. So he did live a pretty good life. So the doctors
Did
did
he
him
have a
well.
craniotomy too?
He did. He had three craniotomies. I think
Wow.
that was prior to the radiation, the gamma knife and all that coming out. I think they just started using the gamma knife when he was still alive.
Okay.
So his doctor, actually, his surgeon from UCSF is one of the ones that actually founded the gamma knife, I do believe.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's also my surgeon's mentor. So that made me pick my surgeon. That he was my dad's surgeon was his mentor. That made me kind of feel confident about going to him.
Yeah.
Um, but the environmental could be from living in an area that there was spillage in the water. I'm not going to mention where because I just don't want to, name names like that. But
Yeah.
spillage in the water, it could have gotten in the water. We were on well water then, and who knows? I mean, it could be from that, or it could be just I don't know, just a fluke of whatever. Maybe
Yeah.
stress from being in a narcissistic relationship for years.
Yeah, who
And going
knows?
back and forth with the stress of either not knowing where you're going to be for flight and fight. What is it? Flight and
Fight
fight.
or flight.
Yeah, it could be being
Yeah.
in that type of environment for years. So to me, they don't really know why they're there.
Yeah.
They just pick you and then you live with it. So
Yeah, not a lot of answers. I
right,
always am shocked because it's like 70 to 80%, at least on my end, women that have this condition, right? And I think, is it lotions and potions and hair dye and perfumes and hairspray and like all of the things, as well as the hormones, birth control, Depo-Provera, HRT later in life, like IVF when you're trying to get pregnant, all these things. Or do we just get to have more luck in our lives because we
right,
don't have enough as women to deal with? We get to deal with being the primary brain tumor patients as well.
right.
Um, Share with me a little bit of your thoughts on just the fact that it's a benign grade one meningioma, and how do you think people perceive that? How do they respond to you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. That's a good one too, because being grade one benign brain tumor and having your surgeon tell your significant other that this is something you see a lot, and no big deal. It's just benign. It's grade one tumor. However, you're going to die from it in so many years. I mean, they didn't say that to me, but it can cause really bad deficits. It can actually it can be fatal. And a lot of people don't think of it that way because it's not cancer. And therefore they just kind of push it to the wayside. To me, I feel that people are just like, oh, you're fine, you don't even have cancer, you'll be fine. And then I show up cross-eyed, or
Mhm.
I show up that my balance is off, or my breathing is affected. they just don't seem to take it that serious as it would be if it was cancer.
Right.
Um, I know my significant other at the time said, "Oh, it's no big deal. You know, you'll get through this, and you'll go have surgery, and everything will be fine." And and it's not fine.
Yeah.
You know, it is a tumor, and in your brain is a very, very serious matter. And then the location of your brain, and it seems like all of us, everyone I know that has a meningioma, it's pretty much in a bad place. They don't seem to grow in a place that you can just get them out, not a problem. They seem to
Yeah.
grow in the deep depths of your brain, and they're not fully resected.
Yeah. I
You
was
know,
actually
so
speaking with someone yesterday, and she said, I almost wish that I had cancer because then I'd get a little compassion, right? Like at least when you drop the big C word, everyone's like, "Oh, what can I do for you? Let's do a
yeah.
GoFundMe. Let me get Meals on Wheels for you and all the things." But when you drop the B word, benign, everyone's like, "You look great. You're so lucky."
Hmm.
And meanwhile, you're dealing with, vision issues, swallowing issues, balance issues, and just general, fatigue, like confusion, all of the things that come with it, and a
Yeah.
real lack of understanding because there's, not a lot of information, not a lot of support for this particular diagnosis. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe it was me that you talked to because I do always say that all the time. I would say I wish it was just cancer because then I could go in for the chemo and the radiation, and we all don't want to have that either in our bodies. But then again, it is proven to cure, not cure, but at least put it aside. The cancer in a lot of people, and I think it's more of it's a like a hurry up and let's take care of you versus when it's benign. It's like you say, oh, you're fine.
Well, and there
And
just appears to be a lot more resources if you have
right.
cancer, right? Like
And
because there's
research.
more people
Yeah.
who want to wrap their arms around you and take care of you. There's more social workers, there's more therapists, there's more neuro-oncologists. Like there's just a lot of layers of your care team. Whereas when we go back in and we say, "Oh, I'm suffering from fatigue or my vision is off," "Oh, go see an eye doctor." "Oh, go into
Yeah.
physical therapy." Like they just try to really push you off. And there's not a lot of like compassion or care, which is just really unfortunate for so many
Yeah.
people who struggle a lot with these benign brain tumors.
Yeah, and I can't even tell you like all the deficits I had, that going through this and all the doctors I've seen. I think I've seen every kind of doctor there is. And it's like those doctors, I mean, they can do what they can do, but they can't make you better because they're only masking what's really going on, and that's your tumor. And it's only the brain surgeon that's going to actually be able to help you as far as well. And the only way you can really get help is if they do get it all out. But then
Right.
we all have scar tissue to deal with as well. I know I have a lot of scar tissue in my brain, and scar tissue does grow. So
Mhm.
therefore, you got your tumor and scar tissue. So there's also other things that you have to think about, even going for surgeries, that what's going to happen afterward. And we all know the brain is not made to have anything extra in it. And when
Mhm.
it does cause a lot of problems.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there's not a lot of real estate up there. It's a very
right,
compacted area, and you can
right,
replace a heart, or you can replace some other organs, or live with a finger missing, but it's pretty hard to live without a brain, and it's pretty hard
right,
you can't replace it. So when the tissue's damaged, there's you just can't bounce back from it.
right,
I know you mentioned not doing radiation, and I think that's a very, fair decision. I always tell people whatever decision you make for yourself is the right choice, right? It's not,
right.
and there's a lot of different variables with radiation from targeted to kind of just the whole brain all at once. But there's side effects that come with that, 5, 10 years post,
Yeah,
particularly, and you've already been through a lot with your two craniotomies, and so writing it out, I think, is a
yeah,
good choice. And it sounds like you can change your mind if in 6 months or a year you
right,
tell your doctor, "Hey, you know what? I'm really affected by this. Forget it. Let's just try the radiation. It can't make things worse," right? And then
right,
you
right.
have that
And
option.
that's kind of what I want to do too. Is I want to wait until I'm a little bit older. I mean, not that I'm not old right now, but until I'm a little bit older, and at least have, yeah. I know my brain says I'm not over my 50s, and my body says, oh my gosh, yes you are. So, um, but I just chose not. I'm choosing not to do it because it's just so close to all those vital areas that I told the doctor, I said, if it can snug that little tumor and just stay right there and not go anywhere else and cause any other problems and actually shrink it or just hang on to it right there, then let's do
Yeah.
it. But they
Yeah.
can't, unfortunately, they cannot guarantee that. So everyone's different and everyone, radiation affects them differently. And I'm just petrified of it, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth. I'm just really scared of it. So I've done a lot of research on it, and based on my tumor, where it's at, and based on my personal self, that's what I've chosen not to do, is not to do the radiation. I know a lot of people, a lot of my friends that, they're really, why aren't you going to do it? It does seem to be something that's a cure and this and that. And I don't see it doing what I need to have it do. And the fatigue is so bad, but fatigue is bad with a tumor anyway.
Right.
But I just don't want the added, you
Yeah.
know, symptoms and stuff like that. I don't want that to be, multiply on top of what I have already.
Yeah.
So I am taking a risk, though. I mean, I
Yeah.
could go have radiation. It could hold on to it. It could shrink it. It could have no problems with it
Yeah.
or the other. So I am taking a risk by not doing it, but I think I'm taking a bigger risk by doing it. So,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
I
And
say,
I mean, you
everyone
have
needs
to
to do
feel,
their own research on that.
yes.
And yeah,
Everyone has to feel good about the decisions they make, and you've been doing
right,
the research for a long time. You've been on this journey for quite a long time, and two craniotomies already. So you've done your education, you've talked to people in group, right? Like you are in the social media platforms, and again, you reserve the right to change your mind if you can always do that later on.
right.
How are you physically feeling right now?
Stress. I can really talk about this. Getting ready, like even for this interview, or getting ready to go anywhere at all. If I have to put on my makeup, I have to dry my hair, I have to find my clothes, I have to, move around the house, more of a quickly manner than I normally do. It's really hard, and I had a breakdown before this meeting.
Oh,
Crying because I couldn't find this, crying because I can't put my makeup on right, crying because if I'm doing something to this eye, this I can't really see well. So there's a lot of frustration in that, and just emotionally, it's really been a journey. I mean, it's been a very difficult journey emotionally. I look differently. I don't smile the same. I used to have dimples, and now they're gone because there's a lot of facial problems and stuff like that. So it's been very emotional, very difficult. I don't want to go out and date anymore because I feel like, the guy's going to look at me and I'm all cross-eyed and I'm looking over here and I'm looking at him at the same time. It's like, it's kind of, I guess you can find humor in that, or try to
but
find
it's
humor in that. But
awful. It's
it's
awful.
even,
It's
it's anything.
emotional.
It's being out in my garden is difficult. Having 24/7 almost kaleidoscope vision is very, very, very hard to do. So that I've gone and, I go to your group and I go to my counseling once a week. So it helps, but it doesn't, no one's there with you 24/7. I mean, you're with yourself. And so, what's going on more so. And it just doesn't seem like no one really understands you at all. They look at me, like if you saw me walking down the road, you would not think anything I'm going through at all. You never look at me and say, oh my gosh, that girl's going through some issues.
It's
So
such an
even my
invisible
clients don't
disease.
see it.
It's
Pardon me?
such it's an invisible diagnosis. It's an invisible disease, everybody. You can't see, the scars we have are hidden by our hair or our hat or
Right.
our scarf or whatever. And meanwhile, all this stuff is just happening. And we
Yeah.
talk about this a lot in group, and I say it a lot in my videos. There is a sense of having to bury your old self because, as you said, I can't do anything in the way that I used to do it. And even just
Right.
getting ready for something as simple as you and I hanging out on Zoom is overwhelming. And it seems like
Yeah.
I just, for most people, they can quickly put on some makeup, throw their hair up, and head out, and it's just no big deal. But now, right, post this, getting confused. Where did I put things? Like, did I put my makeup on right? Is my hair, done? Like you can't see as well,
Yeah.
you can't focus as well. It's all of
And
those
then,
things just pile on top of the fact that you're
yeah.
just worried that this is a problematic diagnosis in the first place. And then day-to-day life just is now complicated when it used to be simple.
Yeah. And then getting in the car and actually looking in the mirror in your car and your makeup's all, you know what I mean? Off, I mean, your eyelashes are all off everywhere. And you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't even see that when I was in the bathroom because you can't see anyway. And, even
Mhm.
down to driving a car, I wear an eye patch and people stare at you, you know? I mean, it's like, they look at you like, what's wrong with that girl? You know, I mean,
It's
and
not
it really,
Halloween, Sherry. Why are you
yeah,
dressed
I
like
know.
a pirate?
It was good. It was good for Halloween. I always feel like putting a knife in my hand and being like going at people when I drive by them, you know, when they stare and stuff because it bothers me. You know, I mean, I don't want people. You know, I really feel for the people who do have like a burned or anything like that. I do feel for them when people stare at them. I really do. It's really. I mean, I don't have near something like that, but it still bothers you. You know, and then it's a nuisance to wear as well. I mean, I do wear an eye patch every once in a while because it does block out the double vision. However, only having one eyeball, I mean, I don't know if anybody's tried driving without, one or the other eyes. It's really, judging distance is really bad. So
Mhm.
I do drive in my familiar and I do drive very slowly and cautiously all the time. And on my days I don't feel I should drive, I don't.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, Thinking about where you're at right now and all that you've been through, what is your biggest concern at this stage and or worry? Like what is the fear that you carry with you every day?
That it's going to kill me. That my time's short. My time's shorter than what I would have wanted. In the and we all have to take every day, day by day. I know our days are very precious, and we should always think of them that way. However, it's like I think to myself, I mean, how long am I going to be normal? When is it going
Right.
to cause pain like in the trigeminal nerve, which it's going towards now? When am I going to have facial pain? When am I going to be like other people in our group that have those pains? How bad is it going to be? Being not being able to breathe one morning. If I just wake up and I can't breathe and I like smother to death or something. There's so many fears that I have that it's like you don't want to plan for the future really because who knows where the future is going to be. So
Right.
it's kind of you just live day by day anyway. I mean, we should live that way anyway, but it's more of a day by day thing. But it's kind of sad. I look at my grandkids and I think to myself, am I going to see them graduate high school? Am I going to see them get married? I mean, is my days numbered? And, it's really a difficult thing to have to deal with because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how fast it's going to grow. We don't know where it's going to grow to. And
And
mine
how
is
that's
so
going to
far. I
affect
mean,
us physically.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
How do you help yourself cope? Like, what do you do to stay grounded? It's a lot to manage this. Is there anything that brings you, calm or joy? Like, how do you find the positive in it all?
Well, my grandkids, my dogs keep me going. It's I'm going back to work. I've gone back to work already a couple days, and I don't work full time, so that's good.
Mhm.
My job keeps me that way because that's the only time I actually feel normal is when I'm
Mhm.
at my job because it's familiar for me. Um, and the houses I clean because I clean houses for a living, which is a very strenuous job. And the houses I do clean, they are also familiar. I've done them for 10 to 12 years now, and so it's easy for me to maneuver around those houses. If you threw a new house at me, I would be totally lost.
Right.
Um, so my work and my dogs and my grandkids are what keep me going.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not a weak person. I'm a pretty strong person, I think. So it's just I don't know. It's just a matter of waiting until hospice comes in and then you leave and drive off a cliff.
Yeah. Oh, well, may that day not be for a very long time. You
Very
are
much
very
so. I agree.
strong.
I don't want that to be happening for a very long time myself.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
it's just, we have to just move on and we
Yeah.
have to know that when we do pass, we're going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You
I
know,
feel like this diagnosis for everybody, the second you hear those words, you have a brain tumor, instantly you just kind of assess your life, right? Like
right.
death becomes a reality in some way, shape, or form. Like, oh my God, is this going to kill me? Like, what do you mean I have a brain tumor? And is it cancer? And just that's it. The wheels just start turning, and it's really hard to
Right.
shut them off after that because
Right.
this isn't a diagnosis where the following up care, like the follow up care is indefinite, right? It's some people are on the year plan, 6 months, 3 months, every other year, but you're always monitored, even when
Yeah.
it's small, benign, easy to get out tumor. The
Right.
risk of them coming back, the risk of them growing is pretty high. And so, therefore, there's a reason they continue to follow up with us. And
Right.
you really have no choice but to try to be strong because we weren't given a choice, right? You just
Right.
here. This
Well, I
is
know I would,
your gift in
yeah,
life to manage and go.
yeah. It does test your strength. I'll tell you that.
Mhm.
I know I went through the whole why me stage.
Mhm.
Why me pity, I was feeling bad for myself and stuff like that. But then I sit here and I was talking to a gal from my church and she said, why not you?
Why not me? Yeah.
And I said the same thing. I said, you're right. Why not me? Out of all the people that I know, my friends and whatnot, I think I'm the stronger of everybody there spiritually and otherwise. And yeah, why not me?
Yeah.
To see if I can handle, the worst thing you can ever get is besides cancer. Cancer, of course, is
Right.
way worse. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Well, and
to handle those words is something else.
we have someone in our group who comes regularly, and I won't say her name, but she's had a cancerous brain tumor was the first tumor, followed by a tiny benign tumor, and the tiny benign tumor has caused her more problems than the cancerous ones.
Right,
The cancerous one, and she went through chemo and radiation and shaved her head and did the whole thing, right? But she got better afterwards because her ability to use her leg came back, right? And like
right,
she was able to put resolve to all the problems that she was having before that particular diagnosis. Then you fast forward a couple years later, and this tiny little pea-sized tumor in a really crummy location is really what has rocked her from the double vision and like the vertigo and just the all of the hard recovery, chronic pain, like all these other layers. And so, again, reminder, benign is not fine. Not to dismiss cancer by any means, because we know that's terrible and another,
right, right.
bad thing. And we have people in our group who have cancerous tumors as well. We welcome everybody. Watch and wait, post craniotomy, cancerous, re-diagnosis, spouse, caregivers, everybody. I love when people talk to us and we get to learn
Right,
from each other because there
right. We
really
all
is
have
no
somewhat
safe
the same
places to
story.
go.
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
have the same story, basically. I mean, the emotional and the physical and everything, whether it be cancer or not, I think it's
Mhm.
all somewhat the same.
Yeah.
Because even having a benign tumor and going through radiation, you could possibly lose your hair, and not all,
Yep.
but some,
Yep.
depending on how you react to the radiation.
Yep.
So there is that same sense of, and a woman, I mean, and not to discredit the men at all whatsoever, because I'm sure they care too, but women, their hair is everything. I mean, it's like there's all these things that come into play, how your body changes, and it's just very that's why I won't get out there right now and date, because I'm so worried about those things. And
Yeah.
I guess you shouldn't worry about that, because if someone loves you, they love you for no matter what. But it's different, I think, when you're with somebody and you go through it with them together versus getting out there in that dating world and trying to date now.
Yeah.
So my dogs have
Well,
to
I
give
joked
me
in one of the
happiness.
groups. I can't remember if you were in it, but I joked that I should start a brain tumor dating website.
Yeah, no, I wasn't in that, because I would have encouraged you to do
Brain
so.
tumor pain, because we all get it. We're like, well, let's just meet a partner who's going through the same stuff, and then at least we don't
Right.
have to explain any of this.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, no, that would be actually a good idea to do. I would highly recommend that. I would be your first up.
oh gosh, I
I'd send
have
you the whole
plenty on my
profile.
plate
And
already, but whoever's listening who wants to start that group,
yeah,
hit
yeah.
me up. I'll
And
be
the first
sure
thing
to
I'd
help you
say in my
out.
profile would be, don't mind the eyeballs when I'm looking at him and looking at you at the same time. You don't know if I'm checking
If
him
we
out or
both
you
have double
out.
vision, there could be four of us in the room. How fun
Yeah,
would that be?
yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
Oh
But
my
my
goodness.
whole thing with the double vision I've learned, though, is that if you're going to go towards touching someone, you touch them to the straight ahead, not to the right, because the right one is not the real one. And the right
Oh
one
my
is always
goodness.
taller and darker. It's weird. It's always,
Oh
it's
wow.
it's
Yeah,
really a
you do adjust, right? You make the proper
yeah,
adjustments and your body is determined to figure it out. I mean, that's kind of the
Right.
survival skills, I think, of humanity. So, you're definitely working hard at trying to be the best that you can be given the crummy
Right.
circumstance you're in, right?
Yeah.
Um,
They do have this strand business surgery though that been offered to me, and I do have to go back to that surgeon and check with him if that's still something that's an option. Before
what's
the
it
last
called?
brain
What is it
surgery,
called?
strand business surgery.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing it exactly right. You know, medical words are really hard for me to pronounce, but what they do is they actually go in and your eye and they cut into the whites of your eye,
Yes. Okay.
and they will loosen up the muscle here because my eye goes inward. They'll loosen up the muscle here, and then they'll tighten the muscle out here,
So
and
it'll pull
hopefully
center.
realign the eyeball. But now it takes 12 up to 12 weeks to heal from that, which is a long time. But it's because your brain needs to readjust to that because your eyeballs are brain oriented.
Right.
So it takes a minute for your brain to readjust to that eyeball being moved over. However, it's not guaranteed it's going to stay like that. Some people, it
Right.
goes back right away. I am going to try one of those surgeries to see if maybe they can do that and give me a little bit
Okay.
more of a normal vision of a life, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a
But just
try.
one of those surgeries.
Yeah. If it can't really do much harm, I think it's definitely worth a try.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
And this
what lessons have you learned on this journey? What has this taught you?
research. Do
Yeah.
research. Research. When you get diagnosed with it, do as much research. I know they frown against you using Dr. Google, but you
Hmm.
need to do your research and don't diagnose yourself or anything like that. Don't think that you have the worst out of the
Right.
scenarios. Think of it as a be open minded to the research you do. You know, think of it as a broad spectrum. You know, it could be bad, it could be good, or it could be medium, and you don't know that. So just know what the differences are between the three or however you want to look at it. But do your research and get in a group
Hmm.
and do your research through that and talking, communicating with people, understanding what they are going through, and that you know relate to people that you may relate to.
Yeah.
You know, just get out there and learn about everything you can about a brain tumor or your brain tumor you're actually diagnosed with.
Agreed. Yeah,
Yeah.
never make your decisions too hasty unless it's so urgent that you have no choice.
Right.
But there's
Right.
definitely a lot to learn. Education is everything, and you got to
Yeah.
advocate for yourself, right? Like,
Yeah, you do.
really, yeah, don't just take the first answer as final. Like, get multiple
Right.
opinions, get education from your peers, join the social media groups, like, start to
Right.
learn. Because I
And
know
research
with,
about your surgeon you actually choose too. Get the
yeah,
surgeon that you feel comfortable with as well. I mean, if you want one that has really good bedside manner, find one that has good bedside manner that's going to be more compassionate towards you. Most
mhm,
surgeons are not, you know, they're there for one duty and that's it. And they've got
yeah,
to have the most stressful job in the whole world to be messing with somebody's brain. And
hmm,
most of them don't have that bedside manner that maybe some people are seeking. And but do your research on the surgeons. You know, find the proper surgeon for you. Don't just settle with the first one you see.
yeah,
Um, yeah, and learn about what they do. Ask them questions and intelligent questions. You know, get questions written down every time you have an appointment. Write things down so you don't forget things. Just be a stronger person. Be very very strong for yourself and stand up for what you want and what you don't want.
yeah,
The biggest thing is, and yeah,
yeah.
and
I
get
mean, that's a
a lot of
great.
support.
It's a great lesson, and it's great advice for the community to do all of those things,
Yeah,
because no one else is going to do it for us, right? Like we kind of have
right,
to take that initiative because the medical teams are just going to say this is what we want to do for you, and then there's not much after that, right?
right, right.
Looking back at your journey, as we kind of wrap up our interview, and you think about where you started and where you are today. Is there anything you would have done differently? Anything that you think if I could go back to the day I found out that I had this diagnosis, is there anything I wish I could get a do-over on?
Well, yeah. Now having the knowledge I have now versus then is a big thing. Having the knowledge, I would have stood up for myself more and what I do want and what I don't want. Um, I guess I wouldn't have allowed my doctors to make me feel like it's not that big of a deal. I would have been more pressing on that. And same thing with friends and stuff like that. I would have pushed friends to go into maybe support groups to learn. about what you're really going through. I think that a lot of our support people need to come into those get-togethers, and I don't know. I just would have not been such a pushover.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have. When the doctor said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get it all out," I mean, I would have asked questions about that. I wouldn't have just taken him saying that to me as, "Okay, you're going to get it all out, and I'm going to be fine." And I would have asked questions of, "Now where do I go? What's going to happen next? Where is the tumor growing towards?" Now it's like every little millimeter counts. So I would have pushed more for them to tell me what's actually going to happen now, or
Hmm.
in the future. And I know that's not, they can't give you exact answers, but they can
Right.
give you somewhat. The tumor's going to grow here, and this is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
And take it for what it is, too, because mind over matter, I think that we can also control a lot of things going on in our own bodies with our minds. So I would have done more meditation. I would have done more, change my diet a lot more when I very first got diagnosed to see if that would happen, and try to control my environment as far as stress. I think those things are something I would have done previous to or before than now. I think I didn't do that. I haven't done that a lot, and I think that really has a lot to do with our whole self, since we are a whole body.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
hard because we don't know what we don't know. And I think you get diagnosed with something like this and your brain is kind of shattered from it. It's like, what? What? I'm really gonna, what? Right? You can't wrap your head around it. And
yeah,
you kind of freeze a little bit and you really just look to your providers for guidance, and just almost feel like I got to deal with this right away. This is really, really important. But like you said, knowing
yeah,
what we know now, even little changes, like I would have gotten really more strict with my diet. I would have focused more on advocating for myself. I would have got organized and like wrote my questions down and stayed really thorough about like, well, what are you going to do for me? And what does that look like? And where might this grow? And what are my future risks? And like really just been with the program, if you will, but it's so hard when it's happening,
right.
you
And
know?
I think too that you have to take control of the appointments you have. I
Hmm.
think a lot of times, the surgeon intimidates you, and if you have the information you need, write your questions down and what's going on, research about those questions, and so and you have a little bit more knowledge where you can take control of that doctor's appointment, because it's actually is always about you and your doctor's appointments
Yes.
and not about anything else. And a lot of times the surgeons just run you over with things, and you get off the Zoom or whatever, you leave the appointment, and you're like, wow, I'm
Hmm.
I'm more mad or more depressed now than I was before I went into that appointment. So always
Hmm.
make sure that your difficulties or your I don't know what the word is. Here's my brain, not being able to think of words. Everything that you're having issues with, make sure they're addressed every time you go to your appointment, so you
Yeah.
don't have that letdown after your appointment that you leave with. Don't always stand up for yourself and make sure those are addressed.
Yeah. And I always say don't settle. Like if you don't
Yeah,
like your doctor, get another one. And I know sometimes people get stuck because they're like in an HMO or they have some plan where they don't get a choice, but really,
right,
file a grievance, do whatever you need to do. And I'm always happy to support people in our community to kind of figure out what those steps are because I have more doctors in my phone than I have friends. I mean, literally the D section is like doctor, 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 doctor. But I also won't go with a doctor that I don't feel is my person, right? And that
right,
those doctors are hard to find. So if I got to see, one or two doctors every month for 6 months straight, that's what I'm doing. And it's
right, right,
exhausting and it's tiresome and I'm on wait lists and I call for cancellations and like I do the whole thing, but I'm not going to just take what one person says as a final answer,
right,
because all too often you end up in a situation where you're not comfortable with them, they don't listen to you. You realize, oh my gosh, if I just did a little more research or went somewhere else, I could have maybe had a better outcome. And so, for all those
right.
reasons, all the advice that you've given is so, so, so important. It's just,
Well, I know with me, I mean, you know as well. I mean, I researched doctors because of
mhm,
not being able to. No one wanted to touch the tumor on the second surgery, and it took me a while to find my doctor that I found. I mean, I was even going to travel, out of state to go find the doctor that would do that particular surgery. I chose my doctor because of his location was where my dad had his surgery done and whatnot. And I also chose him for the amount of the tumor he said he was going to be able to get out at that time. So I chose him for a lot of reasons. And actually, he was like one of the ones of very few that decided that yes, he would go ahead and do the surgery. Most
Right.
of them said, my
Most
original
people
surgeon said,
cannot.
absolutely not. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to touch
Yeah.
it, which I totally respect him for that
Yeah.
because, there's a lot of things that come into play of my surgery that could have, hurt me really bad. However,
Mhm.
my surgery didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, but I'm also not the doctor. I wasn't there watching all the little probes go off when they got too close to a certain nerve, and him deciding to close up shop was his professional opinion, and he did it. He didn't want to hurt me any further than I was, and who knows if he would have went further, where I would have been, either
Right.
better or worse. So
Right.
I respect his decision on that. So, but it
Yeah.
took me a minute. It took me back about 2 years to finally find a doctor to do the surgery. So,
Yeah. Yeah. What some won't touch, others will, right?
yeah,
Like confidence level for a surgeon is everything. Um,
right.
and it is a very important job. I can't imagine being a brain surgeon. And I
I
also
can't either.
really, I can't imagine being a brain surgeon who is like, okay, I'm going to agree to do your surgery, Sherry, and I'm going to go in and I'm hoping to get 40 to 60% out. And then they get in there and they think, I can't,
Yeah,
like it's too risky and I don't want to harm this patient, right? My goal
yeah,
as a doctor is to do no harm, even though I've already cut and we're already here and everything's in action. And, it's got to be depressing and disappointing, even for surgeons who go home that day who can't quite save us, right? Like they can't
right,
be the fix that we're looking for. They have to deliver the bad news. And,
right.
I have real respect for the hard job that they have to do. I also have equal amount of frustration that like
Yeah, I do too.
they
I do
haven't
too.
gotten so far that they can fix us all, right? There's this balancing issue of it. It's like, but you went in there, like just fix it. You're already in there.
Yeah,
Um, but
yeah. We
he
don't
probably went
understand
home and
the.
kicked himself that day and thought,
Yeah, and we think
really,
of
I
it
just
as,
couldn't
it's like
do
I
it.
think of it as my six cranial nerve is already damaged. So just get in there and scrape that off of it
Yeah,
anyways. And I know it just isn't that easy. I mean,
right.
if it was, I mean, we would all probably be cured or whatever, but
Yeah,
it is to me almost that easy because it can't get damaged anymore. So just take that whole nerve out with the tumor
yeah,
that's on it. But
yeah.
that's in a
I'll
perfect
suffer
world.
the consequences. Get it
Yeah,
out. Yeah,
yeah, but then again, it's like I even told the surgeon at first to take it off my facial nerve, but the consequences would have been that my face would have looked like I had, a stroke, and it would have been drooped down. I would have been drooling probably out of my side of my mouth. So I said it was okay, but the surgeon was like, "No, I'm not going to do that to you because I'm sure that when I woke up that way, it wouldn't have been okay.
yeah,
I would have felt differently about it, and not to ever have your face back again, and always have it like that, that would be devastating to anybody,
yeah,
and yeah. So I
yeah.
chose not to push him on that,
It's so hard. It's hard
but
on both parties. It's hard on the doctors. It's hard
yeah,
on us. It's obviously harder on us because we have to live with it and
we're the ones that leave the
right? Like you don't
doctor.
have they don't
Yeah,
have to have a brain tumor, but
right.
they're also decided to, spend their entire lives trying to help and save us, which is
Yeah,
a huge
and
commitment.
I think a lot
So,
of my issues with going to the doctors and coming home, feeling depressed about it is that I have wanted to go to them for a cure. I mean, why can't you cure me?
yeah,
Why is it you cannot take this out of me? Why is it that I can't just be fixed and go home and I'm fine? And I think that that's not reality,
yeah,
and we have to realize that, and we have to. And I think that's another big thing is acceptance of this,
mhm,
this actual tumors and stuff like that. Is that you have to accept what you have, and that's been a real issue for me to do. Just to move on and do what you can do now, but accept where you're at today too. It's just like getting
yeah,
old, and your body changing and wrinkles and this and that. You have to
yep.
accept that you are getting old, and thank God that you are that age because if you didn't make it to that age, then obviously you wouldn't be with us today. But
Yeah, it beats
you
the
have to,
alternative. The alternative is I'm not here at all, right? So,
right, right,
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah, it's
So a lot of it is acceptance, I think.
acceptance is huge. It's actually everything. With anything,
Yeah,
it's everything because if you don't accept where you're at, what you're doing, what your condition is, who you're with, who you love, where you work, all that, then you're constantly working against like resistance, right? Like and then that's
Right.
really hard to deal with and process. And
Right.
acceptance doesn't mean you have to like it. It doesn't mean you agree with how it's shaking out. It just means I'm accepting it, which means I have to let it, right? Like I can't keep resisting it because that's just going to
Right.
make things
Right.
worse.
Yeah, because
So,
you never know, you can make it grow, faster being fighting against it as well.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know I've gotten back into my church and stuff like that too, which I know that's not for everybody, but a lot of people,
Right.
they do reach out to that. And I have reached out to my church and for the support and stuff like that because it's really been a good support group for me too.
Yeah.
So
Well, I love you and appreciate you and think that you are amazing. And I love that you took the time with me today to share your story so openly and so rawly, because I think it could probably really help a lot of people in this community. And at the
yeah,
very least, for a lot of people with the benign, not fine tumors, brain tumors, they might see a lot of themselves in you. And that sense of loneliness that we all have often on this journey gets lifted at least just a little bit when you're like, okay, I'm
right,
going through those same things. I feel you, Sherry. Like I get it. It's hard and I feel you. Um,
yeah.
so thank you for that. Is there
Well,
any
thank
last
you.
words you would like to share before we wrap
Yeah,
up
thank you for
today?
you. Thank you for you. I mean, you're like the heart of all this, this whole brain tumor journey for me. And I know I found you way back in 2020 and I went
Yeah.
through for a little bit and then I stopped and I came back. But the support group has been, I mean, just something that you can't even explain it. I tell all my doctors, nurses in their offices and everything. I tell everybody in the brain tumor, doctors I go to
Mhm.
about your group and how wonderful it's been and how wonderful everybody is that's in that group. I mean, without you out there, pining for us, fine, benign, not fine people, it's incredible what you've done. So I just appreciate you very much, and I love you too. And
Well,
I'm
thank
so
you.
happy for your diagnosis and everything for your last MRI. I'm very, very thankful for that, for you.
Yes, I'm on the 22-month plan after 7 years post craniotomy. And excited and nervous, right? Like I don't know if I get more nervous the further out I am because of recurrence. I've talked to people, it happens at 15 years, 17 years, 20 years, and I think, oh gosh, am I really going to continue to be out of the woods? But I will use my good health and my energy to advocate for all of those who can't and struggle. And I will, I have my own issues with this diagnosis, and each and every one of you help me wrap my head around it. And you teach me something
Right,
that will be in the back of my mind always, not only for everyone else I talk to help them, but in the off chance it happens to me, right? If I get a
right.
reoccurrence, I don't know that I'll be this lucky the second time around.
Yeah,
So
it's
I
good.
need to be prepared and educated and ready to advocate and all of those
Right.
things. And that's what this community has brought to me, but it also is a gift to all of you, right?
And I think that what helps too with this group is that you have gone through the same thing. You are a patient as well as an advocate. You're not just you haven't you're not just a counselor, the helper, the mentor. I mean, you are the patient as well. And so you know firsthand what everyone's going through, so you're there as well. I mean, and it doesn't just because your tumor is gone right now doesn't mean that all your scars are gone or your emotional scars or anything like that. It's all still right there. It's
Mhm.
something that you're never going to, get rid of just like that. But getting a good bill of health is really awesome. I think that's really good. I know you were
Yeah,
really nervous when you had your MRI done, but I'm really super
always.
glad.
Like I said, I
I'm
think I get
super
more
glad that
nervous the longer I'm out because I'm like, oh, if you go looking, you're gonna find something.
it did. No,
And as you know, any
we'll keep it
headache you
positive.
get, yeah, I do stay positive, but it's like, on this journey, it's kind of crazy. Any headache you get, it's like, oh, the tumor's back. Anytime I get
Yeah,
dizzy or nauseous, oh God, the tumor's
yeah,
back. It could be anything. I could more likely get hit by a bus leaving the house today than I will
yeah,
dying from this diagnosis. But
right.
because you're kind of just traumatized from the fact that you had it and that you have it and that you're watching it, it's
Yeah,
not.
and you never know if or when it's going to grow back.
Exactly. They left
Yeah,
1% behind because it was against the main vein for me. And I just wait. I'm like, how long will those cells stay dormant? Like, what,
yeah.
can I be lucky
Because
and
you
it's
don't know what caused
forever?
it. Yeah, because you don't know what caused it in the first place. So it's
Nobody
like, they
knows.
don't really have a lot of information on the actual tumor when it's, when they take it into pathology and whatnot. They don't know how those little, whatever got formed and started growing. So it is that you don't know, well, shoot, like you said, hairspray and this and that and another. Should I even use that stuff anymore? Because it could have caused it. There's all those things that come into play. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
never know, and but let's just fingers crossed.
All right, my
Doesn't
dear.
even cross your fingers anymore because I mean I have a lot of problems moving my hands, So I mean it's like, oh gosh, can I even do that anymore? So
I always appreciate your ability to have a little bit of a sense of humor around
yeah,
the chaos that this diagnosis has brought you. And as often, we say you run out of tears, so sometimes you just have to laugh. Uh,
right.
it brings every emotion. And if you are out there listening to this and you can relate, please drop some comments. We would love to hear from you. We would love to know your story. If anyone out there listening today is inspired by this and you would like to do an interview with me, please let me know. You can reach out to me anytime. My text and email is going to also be in the comments. So thank you, Sherry, for your time today, for
Welcome.
being raw and open. I
Thank
always
you.
enjoy talking with you, and I will be along your journey with you as long as you will allow me to be. So, thank you for being a great peer support to me and everyone else, and of course, for sharing your story with the world, because I'm
Yep.
confident it will help people. And for all of those reasons, we're doing good work here today together.
Yeah, and I'm also on your Facebook site too. So if anybody has any questions for me, they can always go there and look
Yes.
you up there, look me up there. So,
All right.
but thank you
Perfect.
very much. You have a good night.
Yes. All
All
right.
right.
You too.
All
Take
right.
care, everybody.
Bye.